Hi there. Thank you for joining me. So today we're going to be talking about some of my freebies. Somebody said I need to do a video showing them. And these are all on my community tab. And I just made them in Google Slides because I prefer PowerPoint for design over Word because Word wants to throw everything to a hard return, wants to anchor everything on the page to a hard return, which I don't know if you know how to turn on your paragraph markers in Word, but it's like a backwards P is what it looks like, and that is your paragraph markers. And they go down the margin of the page, and you don't see them unless you turn them on. But sometimes if you're OCD, you turn them on. And if you have an image, Word wants to throw everything to that hard return, and PowerPoint lets it float wherever it is on the page. So I prefer design work in PowerPoint. And Google Slides is a Google equivalent copy to Microsoft PowerPoint. My old computer had Microsoft on it, and the new one does not. So I'm using Google. Also, I use Libre, Libre Office, and it's a nice copy too. Okay? So if you open up one of my files on my community tab, you might not expect it, but it will open up a Google Slide document rather than a Google Word, whatever, Google Doc, okay, document, okay? So that's why, all right? Also, for your own design work, I'm going to show you how I did some of this. Now, I already did this video on my tablet, and I think in my arm, it's just too heavy and it was shaky, so I'm redoing it. There you go. So, I showed how I made this, but this is a tab. You can see the black. You don't need to, just ignore the red, and I will show you all about that. But I made a whole bunch, but these are tabs. Because, you know, the whale tail tabs, and everybody's using them and wanting them, and you can see the shape of that. I think it turned out pretty nicely. Let me show you a solid color. There. You can see it's pretty nice. So the way I did this, and this was the best way to get good image quality in Cricut. If I was in Libre or Google, doesn't matter, they're the same. For your purposes, it's Google Slides. And I don't remember which one I tried to save it as an SVG, and brought it in to Cricut, it was like the edges were fuzzy and awful. So a cheat, a trick, hack, redneck way of doing Cricut, I don't know what you want to call it, okay? But what I did was I brought up the document that you'll see, and on my laptop, I don't know how this will work on a tablet or a phone. I apologize. I don't know. I haven't tried it. I probably should have, but I didn't. And I'm not an expert at Cricut, so that will soon be apparent in my pitiful explanation of how I did this. And that's the best I can do, and I'm doing my best here. But I did make a bunch of nice whale tabs, so there you go. All right? So, what I did, and here is a copy, if that cheat sheet will help you. But what I did was I did a screenshot, a function print screen, whatever your laptop is. I did a screenshot of this document. And this is what will come up. Just this black thing on the page is all that'll come up. I did a screenshot. I cropped it, right? I sent that to myself in Facebook Messenger, downloaded it. That's how I converted it. Okay? You just do a print screen, function print screen, and then go to Facebook Messenger. This is what I did. And I just Control V, sent it to Control V is paste. Send it to myself, opened it, downloaded it, and then that made it like a JPEG. Because what this does is bring up a PDF. And you know, you can't manipulate a PDF like you can a JPEG or PNG or whatever file it defaults to. Okay? But this is what I had to do to get the best image quality. I did a screenshot. I made it in Google Slides. I opened it. I did a screenshot. I sent it to myself in Facebook Messenger. I opened it with whatever default photo app or photo viewing system my computer wants. I just opened it, right? Double click. And then I cropped it. And then I saved it. And then that file is what I imported into Cricut. And then just import file, right? And or import image or whatever it calls it, right? Then the edges were clean and beautiful in Cricut. And I sized it to make sure it was about 1.5 by 1.5. Okay? Squared. And then that's how big it is. And you can see it prints out pretty true to size. Okay? But that's the size I made it in Cricut. But for design work, I was going to show y'all how I made this. Because when I share these images, that's what all this is. Okay? But I'm going to show you what I did here. Okay? So I did a big oval. Oh, that's straight. Those sides are straight. Okay? With rounded ends, because we want the whale tab look, right? And then, you know I can't draw it sideways. You know the parentheses? Image? Picture? Shape? Let's see, what is it? Shape. It's a shape that you bring in. And then I made it so that it's longer. And you can see here, this shape is longer and skinnier. I made it like this. And then you just put it here. And here, this is hard to draw. Okay, I didn't even do that on there. Okay, forget that. But I did it on both sides. And then, of course, this I copy and paste to make sure it's exactly the same. And then when I'm designing on PowerPoint or slides, you can center it to the page. Like this, now it didn't print out centered now, but it was. I centered it to the page so then it aligns perfectly. Okay? And then you bump it up and down. But this I copied and pasted to make sure it was exact. I'm not good enough to size all that the same. But so I did a big oval, and then I did 2 parentheses. And then the parentheses I colored white, and then the oval I colored black. And then that gave me the shape. Does that make any sense to anybody? But if that's just if you want to do some design work yourself, okay? Bring in an oval, slap some parentheses on it, make them white, okay? And I just shaped them to where I thought it would look. But the parenthesis curve is what gave me the curve and the point for you to fold it, and then it looks perfect. It's got your rounded tabs, okay? So that's how I made it. And then I made a screenshot of whatever you'll pull up off the community tab. You crop it, you send it to yourself, however you want, email or whatever, right? And then that saves it as a JPEG or something. And then I cropped it in my photo app. And then imported it into Cricut. I sized it to be 1.5 by 1.5. But then when you import it into Cricut, that is the way I got the black and white check option to remove the back. Okay? You know, the background. So it knows what you want to cut, right? Then when I got it into Cricut, I had a bunch of Echo Park scrapbook paper pads that are a nicer weight. Okay? And they're two-sided. So I just wanted to use some of them up because I liked the weight of them. So then when I brought it into Cricut and I sized it, let's see, it was 1.5 inches. So I don't think I did 4 wide. I couldn't have done 4 wide. So I probably just did 9. You know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm getting ready to tell you why I did this. And then I don't remember. I can figure it out if you need to know. But then these groups of 9, I did a weld or an anchor or whatever you call them. Because I put these on the page and I spaced it in the design place to print 4 groupings and to make sure I cleared the edges of these 4 pieces of scrapbook paper. But then when I brought it over to make it, you know, the make it quote thing, the make it button, and then it jumbled them. So then I had to go back and I had to weld or group or flatten. I don't know what I did. Somebody told me. I can't remember how they told me. Oh, it was alive or something. I don't know. Somebody helped me. And they said, what you need is flatten or weld or whatever. Or maybe both. Maybe I grouped them and then grouped all of it. Somehow I had to manipulate it to print 4 groups of 9. So I didn't end up with any on the margins. On these margins of my 6x6. My 4 6x6 paper. That was brutal for whoever does know Cricut. And you're like, you're an idiot. I understand. I made that way too hard. And it was hard. So there's some Welltail tabs if you want them. Okay? And it's free. I made it myself. I don't care. You can have fun with that. I made a bunch. I need to make a bunch more. I've sent them out. Everybody loves them. So they say. Okay? Then, also, let's see. What all is on my community? I'll show you. So then I offered this lined paper. I made it myself. I already scribbled one up, but I'll show you. I'm going to scribble up the other half so you can scale this down if you need to if you want to make it smaller, if your journal pages aren't a full 8.5 by 11. Me and Mindy have been making 8.5 by 11 and then you don't trim it. And boy, that makes life easy for a journal. My gosh, that makes life so easy if you just do that size. And then Mindy, I've convinced her to quit using white paper so much. And then if you have a creamy paper or a colored paper, your edges don't look as bad. We used to trim everything to death, but now. And with white paper, it does look a little more stark. Do you? Well, I'm just saying me. This is my taste. I think with white paper, not trimmed, your borders might look a little more stark than trimmed. Than not trimmed on colored paper. I think it looks a little not undone. Okay, sorry. So what I did here was this heart, I made it and I did my own shading. And I think it has 5 layers of shading. And you can recolor this. I've colored this blue, pink, purple. I've colored this every color. In your Google Slides, you can recolor it. And this shading turns out so pretty when it's recolored. Okay? And then this, I always say it's like 20 images, but it's only 13. But actually, 13 and 13 plus the lines, and it's all grouped into one image. Okay, I manually selected it all and grouped it to combine it into one image. But if you want to learn how to do this, I did the heart with 5 layers, okay? Then this, and this, and this, and this are separate images. This is a separate image. This is a separate image. Okay? Then these, which are like, that's what I tried to draw here, but I couldn't draw it. Let's see. Okay, that's close. But those are 2 images each. So there, and that's 13-ish, whatever. And then the shading on this is 5 layers. And this looks really pretty color. I colored it purple one time, and boy, it looked pretty. But the shading really comes out when you recolor it. And here I've got it printed on gray. Here I've got it printed on resume paper. I printed it on red. And what I made this for, which I will show you in real life in a journal, is I don't like, this is a different image, but okay, imagine this on here. But this is just a lined image with a screen background, same difference, okay? But I don't like, now see how that looks, that this white edges look a little stark compared to this resume paper. I just think it looks more, less, I don't know, I'll shut up. So, it prints lovely on scrapbook paper. Both, this is nicer, maybe Bow Bunny, and this is wrapping paper. This little heart, and it prints just fine on nicer weight wrapping paper, not the cheap stuff that you can't hardly wrap a present without tearing. You know what I mean. But it's a nicer weight wrapping paper, and it probably came from the Dollar Tree, believe it or not. This is tracing paper. It prints just fine. I always group these images and then anchor them to the center of the page. So then when you print front and back, they're both, it'll be as close to perfect as you can get. It's this one, there's just a millimeter off. One side's a millimeter higher than the other. But it's grouped and anchored to the center of the page, so it will print as perfect as your printer feeds paper, okay? Your printer might vary, grabbing one page to the next. See what I'm saying? But it is centered in the page. Like this, I mean, the borders and stuff look nice. It's not crooked because I centered it. Grouped and centered. And then like here, it's a millimeter off on this tracing paper. But it doesn't look too bad. I used it. But this is just cheap tracing paper. Now it is 9 by 12 instead of 8.5 by 11, but it's okay. And I got a 40-pound pad of it on Amazon for like $3 or $4. It's cheap. And then it's probably more than you'd get it. I mean, you can get it at Walmart, probably cheaper. I don't know. But I don't drive, so I get a lot of stuff on Amazon. And I'm still using the same 40 pad pack that I got. And it prints, and it's a nice, I think it's a lovely dupe for vellum. And actually, I like the crinkle of it more. I have some vellum envelopes and stuff, and it doesn't have this crinkle. And I love the crinkle. And it prints lovely. So you can print on scrapbook paper. Here. You can print on, let's see, here's cheaper weight scrapbook paper. Prints just fine. I don't like white. Did I already say that? I'm sorry. I don't like white pages. Blank pages. I always print lines or something on the back. That's why I even came up with this. So I'd have something to print on the back of scrapbook paper. And then wrapping paper and tracing paper. And it prints just fine. Just lovely. Okay, and you could scale it down because this is a smaller page, you know. And so have fun with that. Recolor it, or tell me to say I need a purple one. I'll make you a purple one. I don't care. Tell me what if it's too big and you're uncertain how to size it. I just shared with Junk Journal Diva to use a screen recording app. I have done that too, but I can do some of this design on the computer with a screen recording app and show you how to do it. If anybody has any questions, especially this whole mess of trying to get clean edges, because when I made it an SVG and brought it in, it was jaggedy, a hot mess. But then when I took a screenshot and cropped it and brought it in to Cricut, it was smooth. Okay, so if you have any questions on any of this, let me know. Another freebie I have is these. I haven't made it a freebie, but I can if anybody else loves unicorns. Somewhere, it's not in here, I don't think. It's in another book. I'm sorry. But I copied this from AliExpress. So there. I just copied. Okay. I love red. Mindy loves blue. My twin sister. I saw these twin red and blue unicorns, pink and blue, red and blue, and I loved them. And so those are twin unicorns for me and Mindy. And if you just like unicorns, they don't have to be me and Mindy, If anybody wants these, I can make this a freebie too. I've made them in stickers in all sizes for me and Mindy. But I love those. Love those. But that is copied off of Ali. I did copy. And I did buy the original sticker, but then I copied it bigger. It's a little bitty 1-inch tiny. It's a tiny little sticker. So then I made it bigger. Okay? And then I made it in a bunch of different sizes for me and Mindy. And I printed it on sticker sheet and stuff. But I just love them. They make me so happy. So if any unicorn buffs out there and don't care if it's a copy from Ali, I didn't photocopy it or anything. I hand drew it, but it's copied off of an image I saw on Ali. Okay? These are more freebies. I wanted to make my own labels and tags and stuff, So I made just numbers and noted and memo and then hearts. Okay? And then that's my logo. And then I just had fun recoloring all of it. And I think they turned out nice. And the 543, number 543 on these is my kids' initials. E is the 5th letter, Aaron, Dylan, Colton. E is the 5th letter of the alphabet. D is the 4th. C is the 3rd. So 543, like my email address is redpurse543, So there's that. And then 1212 is from 543. If you add 5, 4, and 3 together, it's 12. So 1212 is my other number go-to thing. Okay? So, and this pulls up in Google Slides too. All right? And I just thought it was pretty. And I had fun making it. And I already used a bunch in another journal. Okay? So, one more. This is my doodle clipboard. I was challenged to make a mandala. This is my first one. It's not very good. It's not bad, but it's not good. And it was fun. I was challenged to make one. And I borrowed my son's compass and I drew out this circle grid, and it was a hot mess. And I was like, my God, I don't want to do that again. So I designed one on the computer, and this is what it will print out to be. And it's an 8x8 square and an 8-inch diameter circle. And it's got 1, 2 through 8-inch circles. And then it's divided in wedges, in 16 wedges. Each quarter is divided into 4 wedges. So you've got 16 wedges and 1 to 8 inch circles. Okay? And this again is centered on the page. And of course I'm resting my wrist now. I just printed it on cardstock, and I'm resting my wrist now, so I can't, my elbow, I mean, for the doctor told me to rest my arm for a month. I'm dying. But I haven't been able to finish this one. And so that's free for anybody to use. Okay? And I don't even know why I didn't finish cutting that. But so that's a mandala circle. And let me know if there's anything else you want me to make. Oh, one more thing I was going to show you. I haven't made it a printable, but I can make one. I can make it a printable. This I just took, whatever I make except for the unicorns, it will be original, that you can, it won't be anything else stolen or, you know. But I love these, and I've used them in lots of journals, and I've made them different shapes and varieties, and I've made them different colors for Mindy. But I love toile, and I googled red toile and just took the image. But of course I can't do that if I'm offering stuff. You know, it'll be good, it'll be kosher, okay? But they're just tabbed cards, and I always score them so they fold easier. And then this set I sewed down the edge. Some I've done lots of different things with them. And then I always make a pocket to put them in. I just think they're a nice element, you know. I can make an original element. I can do anything, you know. I can do anything you want. Okay. So if anybody has any ideas of things they want me to make, one thing I want to try, and I've got a whole stack of different papers, is I want to make like watercolor, like all down the page, just like swishes, just a watercolor, you know, drag of like an inch or two, and then scan that and bring it in, and then design. I was going to try to find some kind of old typewriter font, and then put words and stuff over just watercolor, not splashes, strokes, just watercolor, different watercolor strokes, and then put an old cool typewriter font on top, and then make watercolor stroke words and stuff. How about that? So that was an idea. I don't know. I'll have to see how much. Right now, I'm doing what doesn't hurt my arm. Like if I start working on the computer and designing something and I can feel it in my elbow, then I will stop. You know, a couple hours of clicking on the mouse and stuff. I mean, I think doodling is what did it to me. I think my monograms doodles is what caused it. I'm uncertain. But I'll be happy to try designing, but then like I said, if it hurts my elbow, or if I can feel it in my elbow, then of course I'll have to stop, and it'll have to wait a month, okay? But if anybody wants anything and wants me to try anything, or wants paper or anything, I just like designing. And I'm pretty good at it, I think. Or if you want lessons on how to do it yourself, just let me know, okay? Thanks for watching. Love you, bye.